Beats with just Bowman and Bowie J.
Good day, everyone. It's Jess Bowen and Bowie Jane on Babes Behind the Beats. And today I am so stoked because we've got a friend of mine, a fellow drummer, Brittany Nicole Bowman, in studio with us, who has played with artists such as Demi Lovato and Chapel Roan. And I mean, so many more. We want to get into it, but welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so stoked to be here.
Thank you for being here. Yes. You are amazing. And again, there's not, female drummers are few and far between.
It's true.
Don't you think?
Yes.
It's not a common thing. And so there shouldn't be. And now, honestly, it's becoming not as, a rarity. But I guess, how did you even get into it? Because when we were growing up, I feel like it was hard to find that influence.
Completely. And I also feel like in the last just couple of years now, it's been growing as far as female musicians in general, I feel like has just been a thing.
Exploding. It's now a thing, which is great for us.
Totally. It's become such a thing. But yeah, I don't know. When I was younger, I just grew up listening to pop punk stuff. And I guess I didn't really think much about it. I wasn't thinking there's not many girls that are doing this. I was just into drumming, and so I just did.
Yeah.
So it wasn't really anything particular as far as females, males, all that stuff. But I've always loved drums and rhythm and groove since I was a kid. I remember the first time I did anything drum related, it was in the back of the car seat, not even in the car seat, but I was in the back of the car because I couldn't sit in the front seat. I was too little, and I would just sit and play in the back of my mom's car, back of her
the headrest or whatever. Yeah.
And I would just play to the radio or whatever was on.
That's
and
weird.
I don't know what that's
does
so
anyone
weird.
else play drums? Because why?
No one.
No one in your family.
Nobody.
You just decided, you just kind of had that in you.
I have no idea where
That's
that came
crazy.
from. My mom's a little musical. She would just, for the hell of it, just play guitar for fun. And she grew up playing piano a little bit, but it was nothing that was in my household.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I don't know. And most people are surprised. And I guess I haven't really thought much about that, but I'm I guess it is a little random because I don't know.
Well, because for instance, for me, and I've told this story a million times, but just the short story of it is my dad's a drummer. So for me, I grew up always hearing the rhythm. So when you say that you played in the car, it's funny because I also have a vivid memory of playing a beat in the car, while my dad was driving, kind of on the armrest or whatever.
We're so bad at identifying things.
Right? Yeah, in cars. Drummers can't identify anything in the cars, but that's where we started playing.
Yeah, great.
You guys might need to work on your stories.
Sorry. Wait.
The armrest, we'll call it.
The armrest. But and it was because though of listening to my dad doing it, that I did it. So it's interesting that you didn't have that around you.
I've tried to think about what got me, what was the moment, and I don't know. I've just kind of always liked rhythm. I mean, there was this duo. They were called the Bucket Boys, and they were they would just play on buckets and signs and just random stuff.
Okay.
And I remember they would play at ice cream socials that were in my small little town in Illinois, and they were always at different events. And I remember being a kid, I had to be 6 or 7 going to these little events in town because what else is there to do? And my mom would take me, and I'd always see them. And I do remember that was probably my earliest memory of being I love rhythm, because there was no music. It was
literally just them playing on those
and rhythm.
Yeah.
And I was I just it feels it's so weird thinking about drums like this, but it's just it's different if you take it outside of songs and guitar and drums and vocals and everything. It's just rhythm, and it's really satisfying. I don't know. There's something really satisfying about rhythm and beats and stuff. And so I don't know. I guess that was kind of what got me.
And how old were you when?
Probably 6 or 7 then.
6 or 7.
Yeah.
And then
did you get a drum kit?
Yeah. Then did you ask for a drum kit?
So it was funny. It kind of was that for a little while, and then I think around 9 or 10, I started begging my parents for. Actually, I started on guitar a year before drums.
Okay.
And so I was begging my parents for a drum set, begging them for a guitar, and they let me ask for a year before they ended up getting me one, just to make sure it wasn't a phase or something that passed.
Right.
And so after a year, they were okay, we'll get you a guitar. That was first. And then a couple months later, I got my drum kit, but they were you have to take lessons, and you have to be serious about it. And I did. And I was just, that was my thing for so long. But guitar was the thing I started on, took lessons. And I remember they did a little show from the, students at the music lesson place that I went to. And I remember being like, I want to do can I play drums for this? And then he's like, you're a guitar student. And I'm like, yeah, but I want to play drums, and so I remember that being like a really early memory of me being like, I still feel drawn to rhythm over guitar. So yeah, it kind of transitioned.
Okay. And so
Yep.
then so you said you did play in the school bands and stuff?
Not even at school, just took lessons.
You did lessons, okay.
Yeah, guitar mostly. And then I took drum lessons for just a really little bit, not even that long. And it was really kind of lessons what song do you want to play today? It wasn't I never learned technique rudiments, any of that stuff.
I was going to ask, so you were kind of self-taught then? Completely self-taught. Okay, same. Because it was I had a drum teacher for a year, but I was so bored with the learning of with that teacher. I think I sat down on the drum kit once out of being with him for a month.
Crazy.
And I was like, what am I doing?
Oh, so you're learning theory.
You were learning, and he was reading. It was reading music, and it was rudiments, right?
Mine was the exact opposite experience.
Really?
Yeah, it was none of that. Only what song do you want to play along to today? Which was good, and it helped in a lot of different ways. And also a big part of how I don't even think intentionally learning. I just loved drums so much that I would put on my iPod to all of the bands that I loved and just sat and just played along all the time. And I wasn't really intentionally trying to learn different things. I was just having fun playing the music. And I think through that, it also helped me a lot,
Oh, what a skill. You're playing with the band, you hear what you've got to play.
And I think it really did help in a lot of regards to where to place different fills and how a song should sound as far as drums go, to be a little bit more musical versus just technical. But yeah, I really didn't take much, as far as lessons go.
Go. So then after that, so I guess my question is so did you go to college and study it there at all?
No.
You didn't even do, okay.
I, for 2 seconds was I want to go to Columbia College in Chicago because it was, I lived in the city. And so I was like, okay, well, I want to go to, a music school. So there's one in Chicago. I'm going to go to that school. And it lasted maybe 2 months.
Really?
And I was like, this is not, I just couldn't do it. And I was like, that school is so expensive too. And I just felt like for what I was learning in it, getting real life experience would just be so much.
So it was a music program or?
Yeah, I actually went for music business.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. I didn't even go really for performance.
Right.
Just because I also I'm very type A and I do love learning and I like a lot of the back end stuff and just all of that. So I thought I would really enjoy it and I just wanted to just go play.
I think that's something I would probably do too. It's I'm more interested in, it's I can get the experience of playing drums on my own.
Exactly.
I would rather learn what's going on in the background so I don't get screwed over.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, totally. But I also hadn't gone and done this is how much I know about school stuff, but I didn't go get my other classes out of the way first. So it was a lot of mixed with history and
all that undergrad stuff that you have to get out of the way. That's so not what you're there
it's
for.
It's not at all. And I think looking back now, I do love learning and I think it would be, but you're so young then too. It's really crazy to think about,
isn't it?
It really is. It's I feel even now at my age, I'm just kind of figuring out what I'd want to learn and do and stuff. And so at that age, I feel it's just so
you're guessing.
All over the place. You totally are. And so I left. And
so did you have gigs or how were you right, I'm just going to do music?
So back then I wasn't really playing. I played the only band, this is so crazy to think about, but the only band I had played in back home was just on guitar. It was the first band I was ever in. I was 15. I joined on guitar.
Oh, wow.
It was so fun. They were crazy talented too. They were already established. Their songs were great. And so I was really stoked to join. And then it ended up disbanding 6 months after I joined. And I was heartbroken.
No.
I was like, what am I going to do? And back then I still thought I wanted to just do original music. That's what kind of was my thing. And I thought it was going to be kind of guitar. Didn't know. And then, because of course, when you're living in an apartment, it's really hard to drum.
Exactly.
So it was kind of guitar was, I was like, well, I can at least
you were
play
playing
guitar.
more guitar probably then.
Completely.
Too. Yeah.
So, but yeah, so then that didn't happen. Tried the school thing. That didn't happen. And I ended up just being well, I always knew I wanted to be in Los Angeles it's kind of where you quote unquote, have to be,
Right.
So I was well, and if it doesn't work out, the weather's great. It's beautiful. I love California. So worst case, I'm just living in a really great place.
Yeah. Right.
So so then I ended up moving out to LA. My mom actually lived in southern, kind of Santa Cruz area for because her parents lived there. They were getting older, so she moved out there. And so I was like, well, I'll use that as a buffer to get to LA. Moved in with her for like a year or two, saved up, and then came to LA.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so from there, because you have a huge online presence, like, was that something that you were...
when did that start?
When did that start? Was that something that you were focused on or did you just start doing it for fun because it was like...
Yeah, I remember when I moved here, I didn't know anyone. So I'm like, well, the easy way for people to just get to know me quickly, I guess, would just be through social media. Because, it's like you can go out, meet people, network, but it's, social media. It's like it's an easy way for people to just see you and experience what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I just started making covers. And like I had been doing that back home. And when I was, there's some embarrassing videos of me playing guitar from like when I was a child. And so I've always loved just doing covers. Maybe because I've always like just played to other people's music for fun.
Right.
But yeah, so I just started doing that out here on drums and uploading it to my Instagram and hoping that it would kind of turn into a little bit of a resume because people could see what I was doing.
Right.
And it's also a great place to network.
Oh, smart.
Yeah.
And then it just ended up turning into, it just grew a little bit. And then
well, it
slowly
did
met
exactly
people.
that, right?
Yeah,
it did exactly
totally
what you wanted it to be.
Yeah, totally. And I was kind of hoping it would do something like that, but I didn't know. I had no idea what it was going to turn into. I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just like, well, I don't know what else to do, so I'm going to do this.
Was it Instagram or TikTok or both?
Instagram. I've tried TikTok and I just can't.
I can't get into the TikTok thing.
I can't.
I'm still struggling with it.
I also feel like every time I try, I feel so old.
Yeah, no, same.
I'm like, how do you post? How do you edit? How do you?
And what's weird is it's almost like the type of videos that like, which I would do the same as you.
Yeah.
It's like those aren't what they want to see on TikTok.
No.
Like it's weird.
Because a couple of my friends do really well on TikTok, and I'm just like, I'm like, and the things that you post are just, they're not even really like, yeah, I don't feel like, I guess you could just go post a drum cover, but I don't feel, it's not what they're looking for.
Exactly.
And it's
yeah.
like, I don't want to spend, this isn't even with Instagram now. And like for all the covers that I used to do, I haven't been doing it lately, but it's because it's like, it takes so much time.
Yeah.
I'm like, when I have time to go to my studio, I want to be practicing now. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to,
You don't want to take the video and then have to get the audio
road,
and you're touring all the time. That it's like, if you don't want to have to do another job off the road.
Well, totally. And not only that, but it's like, and it was very beneficial. And I think that's still very helpful in a lot of ways. And I think after this, I might go film something too, just to, because I haven't in so long. But I just want to be practicing so much now that I'm like, and because you have to get the cameras right. And if the lighting doesn't look good, and then like there's times where I'll do something and I think it's like, wow, this was a really good one, and I'll post it and it's like does nothing. And I'm like,
and then you feel so defeated.
And it's like I spent so long on this, and so there's a balance between just like not caring.
Yeah.
And then I'll do something stupid that I don't even like, and I'm like, should I put it up? And then I do, and it does great. I'm just
like Jess's light up sticks.
Oh my god,
she wasn't even hitting anything.
I like, speaking of what people want to see on TikTok, I couldn't do a gig with Jax, actually, who you filled it. You've played with before. Yeah. I couldn't do it because I got COVID, and it was a New Year's Eve gig for Ryan Seacrest, and they COVID test you. And so I had to be locked into my hotel room. And so I had these light up sticks that I was going to use, and I had bought them specifically for the show. So I just like, my fiance filmed me like sad drumming in my hotel room, like to the song as I'm watching it on TV.
Like air drumming.
And then that's what blew up on TikTok.
See, that's the thing. It's always that stuff.
Right?
Even on Instagram, there was a video of me, because like when I'm recording my covers, obviously the cameras are just rolling and I'll do multiple takes. And like there'll have been times where like the stick will hit it weird and then my other one will go flying. Or like it'll break, and then because the walls are kind of like carpety, it'll like stick to the wall. And like weird shit like that.
And that's the stuff they want to see.
It blows up.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'm like, this is so
You're
dumb.
like, I cannot recreate that.
It's crazy. So I'm just like, and now the older I'm getting to, the less I really, you have to care a little bit, because it's kind of what got me, I guess, to a degree to where I am. But I'm just over it. I just want to drum and go practice and
for sure
get better.
So when did it move from, when did you get your first sort of big contact from, say, someone seeing your drumming Instagram video?
Yeah. So I think the first thing, this is also I have the world's worst memory. It's like people will say stuff and I'm like, what? That happened? And they're like, yes.
Yeah.
But I remember the first kind of, I did a gig, or I did a cover of, this is crazy. So I joined this original band for 2 seconds. And the singer shout out Honey Revenge. They're great. They're really cool.
Oh, Honey Revenge?
Yeah.
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 I've heard of them.
Yeah. So I played drums for like a hot second. It was original stuff though, and I knew I always wanted to do hired gun stuff. So it wasn't like a long-term thing. So I ended up leaving, but they're killer. But through Devin, the singer, one of her really good friends, Aurelie, her name's King Mala.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I did a cover just for fun of her song. Of
King Mala.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then Aurelie, King Mala saw it and was like, oh my gosh, like this is so cool. Like you should drum for me. So that was kind of like.
So you tagged them.
Yeah. Always. I always like.
Always.
And then,
yeah.
and then they're like, so you tag Taylor Swift and Taylor Swift goes, cool, I want you to be my drummer. I mean,
yeah. Sure. Yes.
I mean,
do that next, actually, after you leave the studio.
Oh my God. But yeah, so that happened. And that was like kind of the first little like social media connection to a gig. And then there's a bunch of musical directors, as I'm sure you know, like on social media too. And so, made sure I like followed all of them and made that connection. And then, through a couple MDs and stuff too, those led into a little bit bigger gigs. And then it just kind of snowballs, I guess, and turns into different things.
Yeah, and then someone goes, oh, you're nice to work with, you do a good job, bang.
Totally. Yeah.
So then was that like, when did the Demi gig, because you've been with Demi now for...
Demi Lovato, people.
Just the only Demi. Not Demi Moore, okay? It's Demi Lovato.
That was last year. And it was kind of crazy too, because I guess as far as like actual drumming gigs and getting out and touring and stuff, it kind of happened quickly. Like I moved out here in 2017, spent 2017, 2018 kind of like doing the King Mala stuff, like that kind of gig. And then, and then it just kind of, I guess the first bigger gig I got was with this artist named Meg Myers. And
I know Meg Myers.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've played with Meg Myers as well.
Yeah.
That's sick.
It was really fun. It was super fun. And so that was kind of the first thing I did. Did a bunch of like one-off stuff with her, never did a tour. And then she wasn't doing as much, so I was looking for other work. And then I got a gig with Royal and the Serpent.
Also know Royal and the Serpent.
Yeah, super, super fun. So that kind of happened that was in 2021, I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 2021, kind of in like February, March. And then kind of nothing was happening after that tour. And I was like, oh my God, like, what am I going to do? Because it's like, once one tour ends, you're kind of, you have the Somerset, so it's at least your home base and stuff. But
right. But it's still, I'm kind of in the same boat as you where I'm always like, I'm kind of looking, it's so fun to do the hired gun thing that I'm always looking for the next. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, so that was kind of like nothing was really happening with that. And then, and then all of a sudden, a couple different musical directors were like, hey, I want to put you in touch with Stacey Jones, who's a musical director, and he, he'll be in touch or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, like I didn't know what for. And I was like,
so that's just out of the blue.
Yeah, that's the thing is that happened out of the blue. And I was like, and you want to be like, okay, well, maybe this will turn into something cool, but you don't know. And then you don't hear back for like a week or two. And you're just like, what was that about? Like, is this going to be something that's going to, you don't know. And so, waited a little bit. And then, and then he ended up texting me and he was basically just like, I'm putting together a band for an artist that was really pop and she's kind of now going rock. And so, think you'd be really great for it, blah, blah, blah. Had a call with me about it. And then, and then it just happened.
Did you do an audition at all for it? Or was it more of a they already saw your video, so they're like...
That's the thing is there's so much on my social media that kind of showcased what I did.
Yeah.
And I think that's also kind of what... Because, if I had nothing, I'm sure they wouldn't be like, let's have you drum, because they don't know what the hell I've done in the past. But, and, like another good tip is to always make sure you're doing... Like, whenever someone is interested in me for something, I like to do a cover of one of their songs just to show the musical director that, like,
I could do this.
Totally.
Yeah.
And so I did that. And I don't really know if that even mattered because, like, I sent it to Stacey and he replied and he was like, oh, you've got the gig. So I don't think they really, that really did anything.
So this after he'd made the call, you then sent the video, even though they didn't ask for it.
Yeah. Just as like
you just did it as just to kind of show an extra
that you care and
totally.
That, and that you can.
That's smart.
Songs.
That's a good tip. That's a very good tip.
Yeah,
honestly.
and so and then I ended up getting it, and it just happened all kind of quickly, and I don't think we really knew what the schedule was gonna be like or whatever. And they told us at first it was just gonna be a couple like TV show things and then maybe a tour, and we didn't really know, and it was kind of and so it was very like who knows what's gonna happen with it, and then it ended up being kind of all last year. Yeah.
I was gonna say it took up that was all of
it was a full tour, was it?
Yeah,
it was everything.
It was we didn't do it was just the US and didn't we do Canada? I think. Yeah, in Canada and then South America.
What? So gig, couple of TV shows.
Yeah, it started with TV shows. So the first thing the band and Dee, we all did together was, I think it was Fallon was the first thing.
Oh, wow.
So you did late night first.
It was the first TV show I had done. It was like the first time we had played with her outside of rehearsals.
Were you like, oh my God?
Yeah, it was wild to have that be the first thing, you know?
Oh my God,
I had never
for sure.
done TV before. And
Did you get a rehearsal? I hope so.
We like ran the song once at like the run through or whatever.
Yeah.
But it was very like, TV is way more nerve-wracking than playing in front of it. You put a million people in front of me. That's way more chill than TV.
Yeah.
And I feel like because you've done.
No, I haven't done late night TV. No, I was just talking about this because I was supposed to with an artist, but the writer's strike is going on. And so I can't, I haven't done it. It was supposed to be my first time.
Very soon.
But tell us about it.
No, it was very like, it was, yeah, just because it's like, and I also like, it was Fallon and I love Fallon and it was like such a fun experience, but it was very like, oh my God, like I'm here in New York City, like where they shoot SNL, like a couple floors above. And it was just very like a lot, but so exciting. And
what's the process on the day?
You get there, they take you to the little backstagey green roomy area. You basically chill until they call you in to kind of just do a show run through. You check out your stage area, kit, make sure everything's good. And then, and then you just more waiting. It's just a lot of waiting. And
so
then,
you have, sorry to interrupt though, but do you have someone then on those, I imagine, that's setting up your drums and everything. So you're not even having to do any sort of like set up the drums.
Yeah.
You're not even really, or I guess you're doing a sound check, but you're not.
Check. But yeah, Demi was the first gig that I've ever had a tech for.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was game changing.
That's very
the first time I remember like when we were unloading somewhere, whether it was, I think it was maybe from rehearsals or something, I was like, helping him take apart my kit and like he's like, what are you doing? I was literally like, what do you mean? I'm like helping you take it. He's like, that's my like I'm paid to do this.
Yeah,
like,
this is literally what I'm here for.
And it was an adjustment too because I don't like to just sit back and like you do my, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like to help people, and so it was very. But then again, it's like they're paying a tech so you don't crush your finger and then can't do the gig.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That's smart.
It's more than just, But so he had my kit set up. He's such a great tech. Everything was like perfect. And then they kind of do a show run through too. So you get to watch that on the TV while they kind of like go through their monologue and everything. Yeah, and then they just and then you just go out there and you kind of just you're sitting and there's cameras, a million cameras on you, and there's just the small little audience and they're like, and then you hear Fallon just be like, okay, please welcome Demi Lovato. And then it's just like, and you're just like, oh my God, because it's like,
it's time.
and it's not like you that's it. You know what I mean? And it's like, I guess that's it when you play live too, but it's not the same.
No. That's a lot of pressure.
It's like one shot at it.
Yeah, it was just, it's a lot. It's like, oh my God, and it's like also all these cameras and it's just like millions of people are going to watch this tonight on late night TV or however, you know what I mean?
Right.
And is the audio set up for you different as a drummer for doing TV as it is to being on stage?
As far as like what
I guess what you're hearing maybe in your ears.
Super similar.
Yeah.
Yeah, super similar because we had our monitor guy.
Okay.
So it was very similar mix-wise and everything, but...
So you bring your own... Demi has her own monitor guy, own sound guy.
Yep. Front of house, monitors.
Right.
She essentially probably takes like the whole team. Like it's everyone.
It's basically everyone.
It's the whole package for the whole thing.
Yeah, so I just remember though, after I got done with the take or whatever, and it just goes by so fast, and you're just like, oh my God, what did I just do?
You just
like,
blacked out.
Happened? Yeah, literally, it's like, wait, what? And I remember just getting off stage and just being like, oh God, like I just fucked that up. Like I was so hard on this is something I really need to work on. I'm very hard on myself. And like, I remember everyone else kind of being in the green room again and like talking or whatever. And I was like outside walking back to the room being like, I was so like bummed. And I'm like, oh my God, like I could have done so much better.
Oh my God.
And then I was like freaking out because I'm like, great, now I've got to wait. You get done. They shoot it earlier in the afternoon. So you get done. You've got like 8 hours to wait till it airs.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, I'm like the first time I'm going to see this. Like everyone else is going to see this. What's it going to be like? And so I ended up watching it. And it was great. Like, I was like, why did I freak out?
Is that a drummer thing? Is that
That's an everyone
I think
thing.
it's an
Is it everyone
it
think?
must be an
Okay, I was
thing.
wondering because I was
Every
like,
performer.
I don't know because I play with a lot of artists where everyone's always like, that was fucking sick, and I was like, I wasn't sick. I was very not sick. I fucked that up pretty badly, and they're like, what are you talking about?
Totally.
They're always like, what do you mean?
Yeah, totally. I don't know.
Well, they always say don't say when you've made a mistake. You know, like when
Completely.
you know, you just fucking.
Totally.
Well, the thing is also a lot of people, and I'm like most of the time, the mistakes that we notice as musicians or drummers or whatever would not, no one else would notice.
No.
Completely.
So that's why we're so hard on ourselves too, is because we're like, oh, I missed that one hit on that, and people would be like,
it's
what?
I completely. But then it's like I know and I care, but it's like I
Right.
need to find that fine line between because it's like music is. And I remember too, I did. We went back and did Fallon a second time, and I remember we actually did 2 takes, I think, of that performance, and I remember I did something and I messed up, and I was like, because like the first time Questlove was not in he wasn't playing that night, or he didn't see us run the song or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, it would have been so cool to like meet him and talk to him. And then the second time I did it, and I completely I messed something stupid up. And I remember just being like, of course, like the time he's here and watching, I completely screwed it up. And I remember after like we were talking or whatever, and he came up to me, or he was talking to Fallon or something, and we walked past, and he was just like, I love that happened because it's like that's the real shit. Like that's like I wish they would have kept that take or whatever it was. Because he was like, that's real. You know what I mean? And I'm like, it is so true that it's like it's not supposed to be perfect all the time. And like, especially coming from like a punky rock background, it's like, shit, like whatever.
Shit happens.
You know? It's like
we're all human. You can't play perfect 110% of the time.
Totally. And that's something too with social media that's so fucked up is it's just like everyone, you know, you could literally take 100 takes.
Yeah.
That's so
and then
true.
you can fucking, you know, and half the time too with like covers, people just like, which I cannot stand, but people will like record it first and then go and over and like do the video after.
Oh yeah.
So you could be sitting there making like the weirdest faces, trying to get the perfect take and like, you know, looking like shit. And then you go and you're like, it looks perfect. And it's like, but like, and you get fed that and you're like, wow, this person's like looks perfect and they're just killing it. And it's just amazing. And it's just like, you know,
because it's like, you're taking all of the pressure off of it. So imagine if you put any of those people in the spot of like, because the only TV thing I think I've done a few, I guess, but no late night TV, but I just recently did the iHeart Radio Awards.
Yes.
And it was the same, it was the same thing where like you're running through it and then you finally get to the exact spot and you're just like, I remember feeling like, oh, I messed this up.
Yeah.
But like, because of the pressure, you're like, I ran it perfectly. We had a whole we ran it like 7 times at least.
And it's
the one time that it was aired that I felt like I messed it up.
And that's what goes to show. It's just it's so much of it is mental.
It
because
is. It
it's
is.
like you can clearly play the parts, you know?
Yeah. We've played them a million times. Like we know the parts.
It's so
it's just
dumb. Yeah, it's like, and especially in late night too, I think, because it's like Fallon's at his desk watching you, and then there's like 6 cameras, and it's like the audience and the lights.
It's so
and it's
much
just
pressure.
like, oh my, and it's not natural for like I'd much rather be up in front of a million people, like just like going crazy and like.
Well, for
that's
instance, the shows that you play with Demi, like playing in arenas or however many people you play for, probably feels less intimidating.
Completely
because
less intimidating.
It's right. Yeah,
so much less
And
intimidating.
also, it's your setup, your stage, essentially, rather than going to someone else's space.
Completely, you know. And so, but it's also like I'm trying to learn too that like that's also part of it, and just taking up the pressure and just being like, it's just it is what it is. This is just
So you started with Fallon with her.
Yeah, that was
and then you went and did gigs.
Yeah, it was Fallon and then Kimmel, and then we went back to Fallon, and then we did like kind of like little warm up things in the Midwest, and then we went straight to South America. And we did like maybe 2 arena shows in South America, and then then we did Rock in Rio.
Oh my
So that
God.
was kind of it was kind of like all big first.
everything's huge.
Yeah. Yeah.
You just get thrown into it.
Yeah,
It's like,
it was so much fun. That was crazy. That was the bucket list, fest I've always wanted to play.
Yeah, that's awesome.
insane.
Yeah, that was really fun.
And it's an all girl crew right now, right?
Yep,
As far as
yep.
the whole band.
all girls, yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was really fun having it be just a bunch of women.
and everyone shreds Bowie. Like I saw, because we did a couple Jingle Ball shows together when I was playing with Jax.
That's right, yeah.
And I watched y'all playing, and I was just like, everyone shreds.
That's
awesome.
It was really fun to have a bunch of girls. Yeah, it was really cool. And our bus, I don't even think they intentionally split it up like this. I don't know, but there was a bunch of women on the crew too. So our bus was like all girls, and it was very. It was very
great.
fun. Yeah, it was great.
I was going to say, were you on buses or flying in and flying out?
Yeah, well, for the U.S. run we did, it was buses. And the guys were on one bus and the women were, but I will say, like, our bus was always like, you would go onto it and it was, everyone would just go to sleep and it was pitch quiet, which was so nice. I'd rather be on that bus and have the option to go to the other bus.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the guys' bus was very like,
Party.
TCR monitor guy was like bringing out his grill and making like grilled cheese and like, you know. And
Oh,
it was
that's
like,
good. You can go to the party and leave
that's
the
what I
party.
mean. And leave the
Yeah.
party when I wanted to. So yeah, it was so much fun. It was great.
How
great
many?
group.
Sorry, this is like a technical question, but
No.
on tours like that, because you are playing such huge arenas and stuff, like how many buses and trucks
Yeah.
are
It was.
involved?
I feel like it was a lot for what, because we were doing. We weren't doing arenas here. We were doing like theater size.
Okay.
But there was 3 buses, and then I think I don't even know how many trucks, but
yeah.
just I think like 1. Or
And
2.
Demi's
wow.
on her own bus or she's with you?
Yeah, she is on her own bus, and she had like her tour manager, like makeup, hair,
Oh, I see.
photographer.
Yeah.
Her
all
own little-
on their
yeah.
own little bus, yeah. And then but it was just so much fun. Like, and that was
Wow.
really, wildly enough, like that was the first bus tour I'd done, and it was just kind of like the first real like
experience doing
yeah,
it.
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was so
That's
much fun.
really
And
impressive.
it was weird too, because like I had started playing with Royal and the Serpent back in 2022, and I remember one of my friends was like, not giving anything away, but he's like, you should, like try and play with Royal as much as you can, because I think she's gonna like open maybe for like Demi in the fall. And I was like, oh my gosh, like that'd be so sick, because like the biggest thing I had done at the time was playing with Royal, and that was like, I remember that was my first kind of tour, and it was so much fun. And so I was like, I would fucking love to play with Royal and like open for Demi, like that'd be so sick. And then it just ended up like, yeah.
Then,
Full circle.
Wow.
Did Rainbow Serpent end up opening?
Yeah, Royal was opening
Oh,
for
but
us.
sorry.
Yeah, Royal and the Serpent.
We've got a festival in Australia called Rainbow Serpent.
Oh, really?
That's why in my head I've converted it to Rainbow Serpent.
I love it. Perfect. Yeah. No, she ended
I'm
up.
even visualizing the festival. So
It's amazing. So she ended up opening, and it was so much fun.
That's wild. So she
Yeah.
ended up being on the tour anyways, which is sick. Then you've got your friend there too.
It was so great. Yeah. It was so much fun. So that was really cool. And then,
wow.
yeah, and now I'm doing a fest with her coming up in like a week or something. So I'm
Oh,
like,
cool. I was going to
Yeah.
ask, like, what are you allowed to talk? Is there anything you're allowed to talk about that's coming up for you, in the next few months or so, or the next
Yes.
year, whatever you want
So-
to talk about?
Yeah, there's Demi's just doing a couple one-offs this year. I don't actually even know what's announced yet, so I don't want to say, because I actually
Okay.
don't know.
Yeah,
But there's a couple that are coming up, and then sporadically throughout the year, and then but yeah, I was like trying to fill the gaps with like stuff, and so I actually got a tour offer the other day for this artist named Alexander Stewart.
Okay.
He's so crazy talented. That gig ended up happening through when I was playing for King Mala, which like it's always good to just go play everything and anything, because you never know what's going to come from it. But
sure.
this guy was opening the night, or maybe he was like second or something. And I just remember walking in and being like, oh my God, this kid has like the most insanely crazy good voice. And it was just him and a guitar player. And I was like, they don't have a drummer. So I was like, hey, if you ever do a tour and need a drummer, like, or just shows or whatever, let me know. I'd love to play with you guys.
Oh, wow.
And so
This is on on social media. You hit them up.
no, he
on
had opened for.
Oh,
he had
I
opened
see,
the night
I
or
see.
whatever, played right before our set.
Right.
Oh, I get
and
it,
you
I
just
get
watched
it.
him. And,
Yeah, and I watched him, and I was
Yeah.
it's really rare that like you see someone live and it's literally just like, how is this person like this talented? It was
Wow.
crazy. So I was like, anytime you need someone, like I'd love to share the stage with you guys. And so then they the guitar player just reached out to me and was like, we're gonna do a bigger run, and we want, it's a bigger stage, so we want to fill it out a little bit with a drummer. And so that's coming up I think June 18th through July 11th.
Oh, cool.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So
U.S.
US,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, and it's opening for Charlie Puth.
Huge.
So that'll
That's
be
great.
super,
Yeah,
it'll be
that's
super
big.
fun. Yeah, I'm really excited, and he's just like, he's such a talented artist that it'll be really cool. His stuff is a lot more. I'm very much a rock player. I love playing everything, but his stuff is a lot more mellow, and I'm actually really excited to just kind of have a gig that's a little bit more like groovy and pocket and just chill.
Yeah, that's always an interesting like feat, I feel like, too, because I feel like you and I are similar in the
Yeah, I was
fact that
gonna
we
say,
love
you're
playing rock.
right? Yeah.
Completely.
And then sometimes you get with an artist that you have to kind of be like, okay, so actually like less is more always, you know?
Completely.
Yeah.
And like this Royal and the Serpent set that we're doing is so high energy. We just did 2 days of rehearsal and it's like 30 minutes of just like crazy. And you know Tosh Peterson?
Yeah, love Tosh.
I love Tosh.
Great drummer.
I love him so much. He's so great. He played for Royal first and like handed
That's
me that
right.
gig.
Yeah.
I love him. He's so great. But he's doing the full tour with Royal.
Okay.
It's such high energy like all the time, and it's so fun being able to play like that. But I'm so excited to just try kind of playing chill because like the last couple of gigs I've done, like Royal and Demi have been very high energy.
For sure.
So it'll be really fun to just kind of play a little bit more like chill and like, I don't know. It's a
when
whole
you say
different
chill,
thing.
is it more like, are you going to be using like mallets at some
I
point,
literally
you think?
don't even know yet because
Okay.
he's never used a drummer live.
Oh, so you have to figure out like what you're doing.
Figuring out everything. And a lot of his songs are very not necessarily ballady, but they're kind of like more, you know, and so I don't really
You're
even
like,
know. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, plot twist. But no, I'm just really excited because oh yeah, so I love playing like high energy, but I'm kind of one of those drummers that like I love playing more like musical and just like a little bit more pockety
For sure.
than like sometimes playing completely like, you know, crazy. Like in the Royal and Demi sets have been just so high energy that it'll be really nice to just kind of play a little bit more
Musically,
groovy and like
yeah.
yeah, totally.
There's some satisfaction out of that for
If
sure.
I was
Yeah.
a drummer, I would just want to play high energy.
That is totally my thing. Like,
Yeah.
and I literally have not had a more fun gig than this Demi gig. It's like
Oh,
the people, the music, like I love it so much. And like, you know, that's definitely like my
That's like the jackpot. Like you scored, you know what I mean? Like you've got good people around you, a great gig,
Yeah.
like the good
Drum tech.
fans. Yeah.
exactly.
An all girls bus? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
that's quiet.
Yeah.
Yeah, they go to bed after the show.
Yeah.
A grill in the other bus.
Yeah. But it yeah, and it was great too because I've always wanted to play for like a pop artist, and then the fact that, but I'm a rock player, so the fact that is like a pop artist that
Yeah.
went rock, it was like the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been so much fun.
Amazing.
So yeah.
Well, we don't have that much time. We're actually coming to an end, but I do want to ask you one question. We usually do a whole thing. We usually do a whole quiz, but there's one question specifically I just want to ask because we don't have the time for the whole thing.
Yeah.
But specifically on a rider, what do you like to have?
Oh my gosh, I'm so like low maintenance.
Yeah.
Literally, I nothing. Like I don't like I don't.
There's nothing you want to request. Like even when you're out with like, so on the Demi crew, obviously you can get whatever you want probably.
Yeah.
What do you ask for anything, or is it because it's already there and
I
you don't
remember
care?
when they asked that question, I sat there for so long and I had to be like, I don't know. I'm like, what do I want? Like, I don't know. I was like matcha powder and oat milk.
Okay.
So I could have like my matcha lattes on the bus.
There you go.
Literally.
That's something.
Yeah.
And like
That's nice.
protein and like oatmeal. It's so boring. I'm like, this is the worst answer. But literally, I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
What's your go-to?
Well, outside of anything that are like alcohol related,
Yeah.
usually it's like string cheese,
Ooh, solid.
some like fruits.
It's a good snack, isn't
It's
it?
a good snack.
Fruit
Yeah.
is always
Fruit is great
Fruit.
to have around.
I like fruit salad,
veggies. Yeah, fruit salad is good. What else we put? Obviously, we do. So we've been big
Red
into
Bull.
like. Any sort of energy drink. We definitely put
yeah.
energy drinks on there. Celsius is my go-to actually now.
Ooh. My friends have been. Yes.
It's
I
very.
need to get on the Celsius.
But it's also because and I don't know if I imagine this is what you do on tour. I wake up and work out, so I like to
Yes.
have the Celsius from the night before. There's always leftover because we asked for a bunch,
Smart.
and I'll put it on the bus. So the next
Super
day I
smart.
wake up, get a Celsius, and go do my
I
workout.
love that. Yeah.
So
Sugar-free Gatorade.
sure, yeah, Gatorade's
For me.
always good.
solid.
And then just like some sandwich stuff. We put like peanut butter and jelly
Yes.
and like turkey meat and
Turkey meat.
cheese
That's a
and-
good one.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
like if you're on the go and you just want to have something quick, you're like just make a quick sandwich.
Completely. I
So.
know it's always like hard to find like good staples, but then once you do, it's just like
Once you do, I'm like,
Repeat.
oh, now we're just gonna keep doing this.
Completely. Yeah,
But
totally.
do you trust with some of these venues when you're asking for something like turkey meat that it's not going to be maybe off?
Well, the thing is that that's probably a good point, but it hasn't been yet.
Actually, turkey meat's not chicken. so
Well,
it should
because
be
the other
fine.
thing is, they get it
processed.
from like it's literally in like a package, so I'm not worried
Yeah.
about them unless they like left it out of the fridge
'Cause some
for
of these
forever. You guess
places
you
are
don't
so
know.
grotty.
yeah. Oh my gosh. And the one thing too is like having a little portable blender to just be
Oh.
able to do like protein shakes.
That's
like
a really good one.
banana, oat milk, protein powder,
Yeah.
a little peanut butter or something, and just like
Bit of
That's a-
honey.
That's a good one. I actually do need to bring that on the next tour that I do.
Totally.
Is something like that. Because,
so easy.
Yeah.
And just.
And you got to get that protein in after the workout.
I know. Working out on the road, we could do a million of these talks. But
I know,
working
right?
out on the road. How are you doing it?
If there's hotels, just hotel gym.
Yeah.
That's like an easy go-to. But if not, like
on the bus,
I literally will go on a run.
Yeah.
If there's nothing else, but I will even like Uber to like, and a tip that I do on the road is like, each gym will have like a 3-day trial.
Yes.
And I just use the trials. And it's like,
Yes.
I thought it'd be like LA Fitness. You have a 3-day trial to LA Fitness in general. And then I realized it's every individual LA Fitness.
Yep.
Oh.
Yep.
And then not only that, then you've got like Planet Fitness and you've got 24-hour Fitness.
because
And I'm just
all
like,
of them.
Sometimes when Jess is on tour, our joint email, I get an email that your 3-day pass. I'm like, oh, Jess is using
And
that
it's because
email.
I just then use a different email address.
no, oh my gosh, no, it's never ending. And they're like, didn't you? I thought you were that other.
You were here yesterday.
Yeah, totally. It's so funny.
I always have a laugh.
But yeah, that's like my go-to. And then so that's
I feel like you and I are so similar in that sense. I mean, I
know.
as well as you, Bowie. We need to get the workout in.
The
in
workout
road.
makes a difference.
literally I have to start my day with a workout. Like even if I'm running late, I'm like I need to find a way to
Even
just,
if it's 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Literally, I will sit outside, like not in the tour bus, but like outside behind the trailer.
Yes.
I'll literally be like, all right, body weight workout. I'm doing
completely.
it.
And
Yeah.
it's for me, I always say it's seriously like if not more like 60-40 of like mental for me.
Absolutely.
Oh, makes
Same.
you feel good.
Yeah,
Same.
it's like I have to. And like
100%
lately,
for
I've
me.
just been doing like every day I go on my morning runs here, and it's like even today I was running a little bit behind on everything, and I'm like I have to get my run in because
Of
it's
course.
just mentally.
The
it's just-
running's a good one for on tour, isn't
yeah, it's
it?
great.
Yeah.
It's
That's
great.
a good one.
I
So you can do
love
it literally anywhere.
See the town you're in, whatever.
No, exactly. I love it. There's ways you just get creative with it.
Yeah.
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 Hotel gyms.
Damn.
Yeah.
Hotel gyms.
Hotel
And
gyms.
especially, a nice hotel gym. It's
Oh,
like
I
the best,
know.
right? How
I
excited do you
know.
get?
I love. It's like, oh my gosh, there's what in here? Like this is great.
and some of them you're like, this is a fucking joke.
Yeah, I know. Oh my God, it sucks. But yeah, I know. I wish we could talk forever. This is so fun.
I know. This is so fun. I'm so sorry. We've run out of time. We got to do another part 2 of this. But
part 2, yeah.
thank you for being here.
And
And
thank you for having me.
no, we're so stoked that you came in to do this. And also for anyone who's not already following you, do you want to give your socials that you're most active on so they can keep up with you?
It's basically Instagram.
Okay.
So which is just Brittany Nicole Bowman. That's
Perfect.
my full name.
You
And
heard it.
how do you spell Brittany?
How do you know?
No,
Yes.
I mean,
I
I'm
feel
not
like
sure.
everyone that it's always wrong.
Well,
Guess it.
I'm
Wait,
saying
yeah,
it's
say
going to be Brittany, Brittany.
Thank you.
You got it.
But there's
I'm like
Britney
that.
Spears is Brittany.
I'm like, and even at Starbucks, I'll order and like the way they spell Brittany. Sometimes I'm like, does anyone spell Brittany? I don't think anybody spells Brittany like that. But okay,
I don't know why I think it would be spelled that way, actually.
that is. I don't know.
To me, that's the norm.
Thank
I don't
you.
want to say
Yeah,
normal.
no,
I don't want
I
to say
feel like
anyone
it's
who's
like
not named Brit doesn't spell it that way.
Discrimination
Sorry.
against
the
But I do
Britneys.
feel like
That's
that would
the-
be the normal.
Thank you. Exactly.
All
I'll
these
just say-
Britneys will write into the show.
Yeah, I know. Excuse me. I'm losing fans now, followers. I feel like Brittany, if I just say Britt.
Yeah.
Brit, yeah.
Fixes
You
the
like to go
problem.
by Brit anyways, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Britt.
So
Britt.
you guys heard it here. You're going to follow her. We'll tag her so that you don't get it wrong. You're not going to spell it the wrong way. But
Perfect.
awesome. Thank you again so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. It was so fun.
So
I love
fun.
this. I
Thank
love this.
you.
Of course.